We're going to start streaming. Come on, buddy. Get that internet up in the green. There we go. Are we live? There we go. You could do some music. Cool. You could do some music. All right. I did get a slideshow. My cam's a little too small. Woo! There you go. Oh, and hi to you. I don't give a shit about me. It's all about the picture. How's it going, Moon? What's the deal? Yeah, I was screwing around with the sizing and whatnot, but I wanted to make sure that the artwork was up and going nice. Looks like problem is my internet is just all over the place right now. If I'm talking, I can't hear you. Wonderful. My mic is all the way up. Is that better? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, your end. Okay. So I'm okay. The volume is fine right now. Perfect. All right. I got a Mosquito. So I did finish the whale with the 30 caliber Mosquito. That is off to be photographed right now, and so I decided to do the German Mosquito. So that's an MG42 machine gun going into the face, and then pretty much just a big kind of balled up chunk of metal. There's his body, and then on down to his actual kind of tail, and then he's got a skull on his arm. Snakes Anonymous, love your art, new fan, recent follow. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for hopping on. We're and for the follow and compliment. We're going to start a new painting tonight. And yes, I did get a little slideshow going, so let me know if that looks okay. And I put up 6 or 7 pieces. There's the original Mad Hatter and whatnot. So a little more technical. So I pre-sketched the machine gun and got the design ready before I stream tonight. So, and then we'll buff this out. You can see where I. Sometimes we experiment. That's actually the bipod that flips down on the front of it. But I thought it kind of weighted a little too much, so I got rid of that. So it's just the machine gun part coming into his head. So. MG42 machine gun, and yeah, 30 caliber Browning 30 caliber was the machine gun that was on the one with the whale. So, which I would show off, but it's being photographed right now. You can kind of see if I turn the webcam a little bit. You can see the Hatter and the Hunter Thompson piece I did last week. Finally got the grind rod up on the wall. My wife did a little redecorating of the studio for me, so a little bit of coffee, and away we go. Pull out, yeah, Holbein ink as usual. I got to get a sponsor from them, and number 0 liner brush, and we'll go in and start outlining. and then we'll do some color washes, and we will be off and running. Let's scoot a little bit over here. We'll start where the face kind of connects to the machine gun. And this is also one of the creatures that'll be featured in a commission I'm working on for a buddy of mine, commemorating his grandfather fighting in World War II, storming the beaches of Normandy. He was part of the 115th, which saw quite a bit of action in the early part of D-Day and whatnot. Hang on one second. I think I have the wrong bottle of ink. For some reason it wasn't. Birth of Flight, that was a fun series. I hope to continue that. That's definitely up there as far as one of my favorite series, just because the research I got to do. As far as just reading all the history and trying to come up with different concepts based off those early flight vehicles. Part one with just the balloon and the cog was actually the first one in the series that was part of the Oceanside Museum of Art. So, hey, what are you doing? What's up? This is my daughter, Gwenny. Say hi to everyone. I'm online, streaming. I'm painting for the world. You gotta go to bed, though. Mommy's gonna yell at you. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some of the other series that I've done. The Tank Girls were fun, just because that kind of established the like how I was going to paint my pinups, as far as making the girls a little bit tougher and not necessarily half-naked riding bombs. So, but yeah, Birth of Flight series was, yeah, that's probably one of my favorites. Sorry, just trying to get some of the line work in there. Oh, cool. I have the first and second pieces. Yeah, I went up to, well, once I got to part 4, you know, with the Stuka, that kind of took me into World War II, so I was like, okay, that was a little more advanced than I wanted to do, so that's why in part 5 I did the Da Vinci's glider over the dome in Florence. And I'd love to do something, you know, and I was trying to do not necessarily machines of war. So, you know, upcoming, I'd love to do maybe Amelia Earhart, or do one on the lunar landing. I was going to do a kind of a joke one and do a pterodactyl or a raptor, the true birth of flight. But yeah, I'd love to continue that series. Cigars are welcome. You're awake. Glad you could join us. Sugar's got some tunes going, but I did queue up some Wagner for this German piece. I'll play it later. I got the God's Entry into Valhalla, or the one they played at the end of Prometheus. So now, last week I talked about some of the conceptual or the concepts of, you know, constructing this mosquito. And as I did more research on the actual anatomy of the, you know, the bug, and believe me, I know more about mosquitoes now than I any human probably should. Um, but one of the things was to have the bullets from the machine gun like feed from a like kind of feed from the gun into him, and then I thought it would, you know, I thought it'd be better if it was all internal, like he actually creates the bullets are, you know, created, and not to say it's just because I didn't want to draw 1,000 bullets, but I just thought it would lend itself a lot better to, you know, making it more like a creature as opposed to just like slapping a mosquito on the end of a machine gun. That way you kind of know that there's processes going on inside this mosquito that create the gun. So a lot of technical thought goes into this. You can't just throw any old mosquito up there. All right. So right now, just kind of connecting how it kind of grows out, like the tip of the machine gun grows out of his face. Doo-doo-doo. Was that Windows failing?
Who knows who was failing in that?
All right, get the basic outline of the machine gun down too.
Pulled out a crucial book to our existence. Juices and smoothies.
Juices and smoothies. Sugar's new read.
Over 160 healthy, refreshing, and
Ooh.
irresistible drinks and blends.
Very cool. All right. Sugar found a smoothie book. I will live another month. I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with me. Well, physically. Mentally is another story. There we go. And I dropped in a few little, you know, little lines here to kind of indicate where it's going to shade in. Oh, looks like my internet is all over the place. Oh, no, I guess that's not too bad. Cigars are. Be right back. Well, I'll be here. I ain't going anywhere. Just for a few hours. Yeah, it's been nice getting all these new paintings photographed and up online, and I'm actually pretty impressed. I finished those 3 paintings in 2 weeks of streaming. Proof. Twitch helps productivity. There we go. Yeah, I should maybe do one of those, one of the new Birth of Flight series live. That would be cool. Like I said, I really enjoyed painting that series. Alright, Sugar's back with his tunes. So we're just gonna throw these in here. Alright. Okay. And we'll put the fun maker on the front here. And then just a few lines to indicate where the shading's going to go. There we go. Trying to figure out the color scheme for the Mosquito too. I like the brown with the red, but I'm almost wondering if because it's a different army, if I might change that up, or I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it. Maybe it's just, you know, mosquitoes are the same. They just joined up with different crowds. Crucial decisions. There we go. All right. One machine gun, one face. Look at the antenna. Suggest where those are going to go. Was anybody on here earlier where it looks like my internet might be a little choppy, but I know the whole Twitch site had a huge issue. I couldn't load anybody's stream, and I thought maybe it was something on my end, but everybody was talking about how it must have been, it was a site-wide issue. Yeah, I'm hoping so. I definitely would love to have a, yeah, I'll put one of the big, you know, I'll feature the animals in the painting. I mean, there'll be a big mosquito, there'll be a big whale, there'll be a bunch of Sherman tanks, and, you know, hopefully there'll be one big one, and then, you know, it depends how complex I want to get as far as maybe putting a couple hundred of these in here, and, excuse me. I got the sniffles all of a sudden. But yeah. Because again, that's how I like to balance out paintings too, is, you know, one central character and a lot of stuff behind it, and then, you know, on one end, and then put a bunch of fine detail in the middle, and then put another character. And I could see this being like a logo for like a unit. I'm sure there is something out there like that, but excuse me. Remnants of last week's cold. Where are we going with this? So, whoops. Bring you forward, connect you there. There we go. Okay. Almost make it like a, you know, twisted bone. There we go. Any excuse for more line work? Just submit to DOD. What's DOD? Oh, submit it to the. Oh, yeah. I got a buddy that does he does a lot of like a whole line of knives, combat knives and stuff like that. And sometimes he gets some Justice Department orders, and he's like, that's kind of cool when that order comes in. I'm like, I bet it is. Yeah, I've always wanted to get on base and maybe actually like paint paint a vehicle. Like, what tank's going over there next? Let me paint something on it.
Real quick.
Yes. Oh, I thought you meant real quick. I got yeah.
Gonna paint on it real quick.
Let me paint on it real quick. let me just throw something on there. Or even like an antique, like an old vehicle, would be kind of cool. I've always one of the ideas I would love to do at these festivals that I paint at is one of the ideas was trying to get them to buy me like the front half of a B-17 bomber and just set it up in a field and let me just go to town on it and just paint on it all weekend, throw up some pin up girls and it's Andrew Ball Whitteman. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. He's one of the pinup artists that kind of got me into doing the artwork, to doing pinup work. I really loved his stuff, and I was just in Ohio and got to hang out with him a bit. So, but he's got all sorts of crazy shit. But I have this Death from Above pinup girl shirt that he did. This girl riding a bomb, and it's badass. I've worn this thing so much it probably should be retired, but you know, it's too cool. But yeah, I would love to get well, I came up with maybe doing like this VIP area where if we could get the entire fuselage of a bomber and maybe gull-wing the top, and then have the front, the main cockpit part stay the same, and then the one half would actually have all my artwork kind of, bolted to the top, like we'll do reproductions of aiming down, and then I'll be live painting on the front, and then the other side that we kind of gull-wing up would be like a bar. So you could actually come into the gallery, you could get a cocktail, and you could watch the band. We'll aim it at the main stage, and then you can come around to the other side and watch me do live art. And so yeah, I'm always asking these big companies I work for, like, okay, who wants to buy me a tank? you know? Who's ready to open that checkbook? Who's ready to go to the airplane graveyard in Arizona and pick out a bomber for me? My friend Chase did find a fabricator, though, that could make like a B-17, like the front part, like a special effects artist or someone who builds models, for movies or larger scale installations, and so that could definitely be an option, Yeah, I would love it. Come on, internet, man, choppy. What is up with this shit? Must be everyone in my house is online. All right. Get these hind legs in. I love their back legs because they just like kick out, and you can get this really elegant curve. There we go. Obviously, the length of it's exaggerated just a little bit. There we go. Bring it in. Start calling this like the coloring book phase of my painting, or just outlining it to make it into a big coloring book page. All right. And we'll just touch the edge here, just kind of kiss these lines a little bit. Since it is a kind of a paper thin clear wing, I want to leave it open for just kind of giving it a color wash that gives it that kind of translucence to it, transparency. There we go. There we go. All right. And figure out if I just want these spikes to be black. Well, there's actually very specific names for these hairs, but we're just going to call them spikes. But I will leave them open in case I do want to color them. Oh, well, maybe not that one. We'll just move him down a little bit. Yeah. I like the inking process too, because it kind of, it makes the decisions, picks those lines. So whereas there is a lot of lines that are drawn through, so I can make sure like the wings line up and all that. This actually gives me the first glimpse at kind of what it looks like cleaned up. And then once I erase all the pencil, you get a real good look. And I went out and actually, I did buy a whole shitload of 16 by 20 canvases this weekend, so that whale one was a little bit bigger, so it was a little tougher for me to get the zoom in the way I wanted it with how I have my setup. So, but with these 16 by 20s, it'll be easier to zoom in on the line work and whatnot. Michaels, man, I bought like $320 worth of canvases. They had 70% off. Bought some brushes and shit. Got the kids something in color. Ended up being like $140. I was like, yeah, what are we doing? Oh, nice. 100 years. A photographic history of the modern world. Sugar found a badass Smithsonian book. It was in his books. It was not in his CDs or his sock drawer. Oh, yeah? That sounds like a book he would. He had a lot of books that he referenced. That one he had that was like clothing from like the last 6,000 years or whatever. That was a cool book. Yeah. God, I remember when we moved up to Washington, I probably had a 8-foot duffel bag, one of those giant ones, just full of books. But the truck that we got was too small. I guess it was an underestimation of how much shit we had. So I had to get rid of all these books. I just kind of kept looking back, going, looking between the kids and the wife and the books, and I'm like, okay, what's got to go? No. All right, I can buy books again, Her books are easier to buy than wives and children, so I think I made the right decision. All right, so we got his, I'm sure there's a term for that too, his body there. Let's get a few more hairs coming out this side coming out from the back. There we go. And even if we kind of go over that a little, it's okay. We'll fix that in paint. I'm not sure what the book was called, but it literally is something like almost that obvious, like clothing throughout the ages, or it was that's and it literally was from like cavemen on up to and it was like feudal Japan or what they wore in Europe in 1612, and it was a really cool book. But I do believe it just had a very generic name like that. They were just kind of like, you know what? We just put all this effort in to showing you all these clothing options. Fuck you. We're not coming up with a unique name. We don't have to come out with a fancy name. Yeah. I think it had a red cover though. But it would show like, women's, men's, child's variations on, based off seasons, geography. It was a really cool book. Yeah, I'm sure if you search something like that, it would pop right up. All right, let's get the skull. Yeah, I haven't bought a good reference book like that in a while. I mean, I can pull most of it off the internet, but something that's one of those books that like you're not getting that on the internet. Or that would be an ungodly amount of research and time and there we go. Yeah, a little bullet hole right there. Some fun little cracks coming out of it. I was gonna make it smoking, but then I'm like, all right, why would it still be smoking after he took the time to skin it and clean it up? Maybe that's overthinking it, but You hate that sound? I hate that sound. It's a Windows update.
It's a Windows update. No, the snappy sound on the kick. I don't like it.
I can paint in time to it.
I want it to go away.
There we go. Let's see. And putting the skull in was a total, like, conscious decision to make it almost look like an insignia for some, you know, a unit. That was like, that definitely looks, you know, once you throw the skull in, it's not just him flying around machine gunning anymore. Anything's possible. Yes, exactly. That's why I like art. No one can really tell you fuck all, you know. Anything is possible. You want mosquitoes with machine guns? Done. Done. You want whales that transport troops? Mad Hatters that dab and drink absinthe? It is all possible. We'll get the circle in. And then I kind of like the, if you can kind of see the circle right here behind Vera, with the kind of the salmon color with the blue. I'm almost thinking maybe that for that, and then that, if you look at the image slideshow, there's one of them with a bear, and that kind of smoky cheddar yellow I think we might do in the background. Almost like the one, well, actually, let me look at the live feed, but yeah, the one with the Queen Michelobio alien, the top left corner, or the one with the bear, kind of the, that cheddary yellow. Smoked cheddary yellow. Again, I've, you know, I started experimenting. Really love trying to figure out ways to bring in brighter colors into these war paintings, and as opposed to just making them gray and dreary. And then yeah, maybe the red for this tail part, maybe just this tail part in red and the rest in brown. The other ones, the 30 cals, were actually fuzzy. So this is metal. So, but I think I still might almost do it like the Mad Hatter's hat, like different shades of almost like rusted metal, but bright, you know. So maybe it's rusted metal and they painted them up or whatnot. And then the machine gun will be gray, and then his head will probably be some sort of fiery orange or maybe even red. And we kind of just wiggle this line to kind of damage and age the metal. Keeps me from having to draw like a, you know, a smooth surface or smooth line. It's a cheat, but it makes it look old. There we go. It's like an old porthole. Alright. Sugar's just going to be a metronome tonight. Dum, dum, dum. Yeah. You just got to keep waving your head back and forth. You know? All right. I think we're done inking almost. We're done the outline. Hold it up a little more level with the camera so you guys can see the. There we go. So there's the gun. It's almost like Venom, almost like the symbiote, just kind of slowly splits and grows out of his head. Don't you have to work tomorrow on the crash? Yes, I sure will. Snake. 9 p.m. I may even try and hop on a little bit earlier at 8, and I'll throw something out online about that. But yeah, definitely by 9 p.m. until whenever, Monday through Friday. So yeah, feel free to pop in tomorrow. We'll have a lot of color on this, and or we'll start something new. Depends how crazy I want to get tonight. Thanks for joining, though. Thanks for hopping in and hanging out. 12:30, man, that's responsible. Going to bed that early. I can't remember the last time I went to bed that early. Well, I guess last week when I was sick and I slept for 2 days straight. Technically, I went to bed that early. Same bat time, same bat channel, you know it. Yeah, that's like treating myself. That's like a vacation. I think I'm going to go to bed before 3 a.m. What? Am I on some Caribbean island? With a mojito? I'll throw in these rivets. I know I'm going to have to do every one of these again, but I do want to see in all their inky glory how they make the piece look. Okay. There we go. A couple of their little shrapnel pieces sticking out. Okay, it goes up that way. Oh. Should go pretty late tonight. I really didn't do shit today. I tried to, but then I didn't want to. I kept walking around the house. There was like a little chill in the air. I just kept walking around like thinking I was gonna warm up when I could have just like put a hoodie on or something. It was a weird day. Maybe a few of these pieces folded over. A little bit of 3D-ness. There we go. All right. We got ourselves a very gnarly looking creature. Let me see something here. One quick second. All right, there we go. I guess we can. There are a few areas of darkness that are. They ain't getting any lighter, so we could definitely throw in a little bit of black. And we'll definitely wash over them, but that way when I go back in and darken it up, there'll be a second tone of black that'll kind of peek through once I put the black on top again. There we go. Leave a little bit of highlight on the edge there. Zoom in on that. There you go. Yeah, just like in there. A little bit of a highlight. We'll see. That way you can get a close up on some of those line work. There'll be a little bit of eventually a little highlight like that, but we're going to cover that up because I like putting that in with just a little drop of white in the end. Alright, now it's time for some washes because I'm just screwing around at this point. I just love the inking. Okay. Put the lid on the ink before I spill it everywhere. I'm ready. Went and bought me a whole shitload of new brushes. Let's do some damage. Paint. Let me grab the lunchbox. Pick out some colors. Fancy palette. And I'm just gonna, I know the main wash is gonna be, obviously, I start with a lot of yellow. Here we go. Wash this brush out. Looking for the big boppers. Is there any color left on that? Nope. Okay. One of these is soft enough for a blender. There we go. In fact, it's got a little bit of pigment in it too, so maybe that'll. Alright, let's grab some deep yellow. Deep yellow. I think we're good to go. Let's get our erase on. The PBR box, that's right. Bam. If only I had this lunchbox in kindergarten. Nobody would have fucked with me. That may be child services. Alright, so let's go ahead and erase the lines. As much of the pencil as we can. My light's flickering. It's not liking that. And then some of the lines, like the lines inside the wings, those can go. Those are just guidelines. But they shall return. There we go. Clean up that machine gun. MG42. Hitler's Buzzsaw. One of the wonderful nicknames. Okay. My wife just swept, steam the floors, clean them, and here I am dumping a bunch of eraser shit on it, but it's progress. A little peppermint oil in the steam water. All right. Did your pewter crash again?
No.
Okay.
I was just saying, oh, because I stopped the music.
Oh, sugar stopped the music.
Oh.
Sugar killed the party.
Oh.
I'm going to go over with a light wash of yellow on the whole thing, and then we'll concentrate on some of the areas. I'll bring some browns in the corner, and then we'll do that infamous splash a bunch of water down and infamous strip the color away. Get this coloring book rocking. I got my kids a couple of those old 70s style puffy posters, little fuzzy flocked posters to color. Actually found one with like a wizard. Looks like it should be on the van, side of the van of the local D&D player, local D&D hero. But those things are coming back, and I know the guy who actually does all that, Mr. Peter West. He owns, I think the only company in the United States that still does that flocking, where you can do like blacklight posters. And in fact, oh yeah, I got a bunch over there. I'll have to pull one out. He sent me a couple samples of ones he did for like Mastodon and Slayer. There we go. Just up and down. Kind of scrub that color in. A little more of the straight color just to toss in the corners. Almost kind of gives it that old movie effect where the edges are dark. To a certain extent. And now with this one, since there's some pretty specific colors, I'm not gonna, I'll do a little bit of a wash just to kind of prime the canvas, but I'll leave most of this white so it can pick up the brightness of the browns and the whites. And a vignette. Oh, and what else do we need? Yeah. Or a vinaigrette. Oh. This is a fresh tube of paint. Boom. All right, so we're gonna go in, get a little of that brown, mix it in with some of that yellow. And we're gonna hit these corners again. And we'll kind of follow it around the circle to kind of give it that, you know, that glow. You can even go in with just some straight brown in the corner there and really get it. And you can see what I mean by that kind of smoky cheddar in some of these areas. And then grab some yellow, put it over top of that. And just keep those layers going. Let's see here. machine gun glow. Nice and smooth and blended. Bob Ross would be super happy. But we ain't Bob Ross. And I'm not a we. Alright. So we'll get this, darken this up a little bit around the corners over here, and then I'll start doing some of that splash work. And, you know. Okay. I think back here I just want to do a just bright yellow. And I actually found, we'll see if this shoots black everywhere, but a toothbrush this time. Yeah, it's got a little bit of black ink in it, so it'll give us some gray splatters, just to add to the grittiness of everything, which is okay. And just tap on some of the bigger. We'll bleach out this corner. Pretty heavy. Alright. We just go in and tap it out. The magic. That's how those guys on the streets in Vegas make stars with their spray paint planets. There we go. Just like that, you have a bunch of texture. A bunch of stuff that keeps the eye moving around and adds action to this baby. Without having to draw like blast lines or any other comic book effects. Kind of brush a little bit of it away as well. Just want to try and avoid streaking a lot of it. But there you go. You get a little bit of that gray as well. Sometimes it pays not to wash your brushes. Get a little bit more. There we go. All right. I like that. Just kind of bleaching out one corner, like it fell into the water and it's been sitting there for 50 years. All right. I think we'll start with this machine gun. Just get some of these grays and whatnot out of the way. That was a whole hell of a lot of paint I put in there, in that bowl. That I don't know I'm going to use it all. Okay, so I'm going to put a base gray in, then we'll start doing a little bit of the shading, and then we'll put in the heavy blacks. And so pretty simple. Do need a little white though. Fresh tube of white, man. all the new shit. Like going school clothes shopping with mom. Alright. And again, goes over the black, no problem. If you've watched my previous streams, you know he loves doing our ink work in the end. So we'll do a medium green. I mean gray. In fact, this could be a little bit lighter. I just, because I'm going to go in and do the dark and the line work, but also throw in some highlights as well. So just want to make sure the machine gun is well detailed, highlighted, shaded. This is a very prominent feature of this Mosquito. In fact, we could put a little red in here as well, if it kind of, I think when it burst from his face, it kind of left some blood. I'm just using a flat brush to just scrub color in. And this is the base gray, so like I said, we're not too concerned about going over the lines or whatnot. When I go in with the darker gray for the shading, it'll be a lot cleaner of a line. And right over these cutouts as well, because they are pure black. That's all going to be black down there, so leave that. You don't mind variations, a little dark, a little light. We're definitely going to smudge this up a bit. It is a very well used machine gun, so. Gotta get it dirty. More white, gray. You got that top line. cigars are. You get that Holbein ink yet? Just wondering if you had a chance to play around with it at all. And what your thoughts were on that delicious ink. Not yet. Oh, okay. He waits by the post office or the mailbox every day, though. Is it here? Alright. Cool. So we'll go in with some of the straight gray. Start dropping in the shadows. Make sure this dark gray hangs out underneath his fleshy protrusions. Is there a way for me to transfer a digital sketch to canvas? Absolutely. I mean, once my artwork is photographed, it's or scanned, it's a digital file. So and that file's computed directly into the printer, and they can print it on canvas, metal, wood. Actually, a buddy of mine took a pallet, like he'd use at a bonfire, forklift pallet, and they found one that was super flat and flat enough to put on the printer and print it on that. So yeah, if it's a digital file, and just find out wherever you're gonna print. If we're gonna hook you up with my guy, I'll just find out. Well, I send him TIFF files. I think first generation JPEGs are good, but as well. But I send TIFF because they have so much more information and whatnot. So. Yeah, I mean you can pretty much do anything you want these days. If you wanted to print your art on your neighbor's back, you could probably find a way to do it. There we go. All right, so we get the base bottom shadows of the gun on. There we go. Did that answer that, or is that did I not? I'm assuming you mean like on a tablet you do a sketch or with a Wacom, and then you want to transfer it to canvas. Yeah, I mean, I figure paintings, photography, they can all get printed on whatever. So cool. Um, yeah, the machines they have nowadays are just out of this world. I think my printer just bought 3 new machines. So I don't even know what his capabilities are anymore. They're pretty staggering. So every other one of these is completely dark. Oh, I drew those. Thought I'd do the grays first this time and get it over with. You know, I normally save the gray for last because it's shitty and boring. Yeah, I've done stuff like that before. In fact, we had a photographer friend, Shannon Dorn, I believe her name was, out in Vegas. She would photograph people in poses, print them on canvas, and then the artist would go and paint creatures and whatnot. So if she photographed someone standing there like this, they would draw a sword in, and they'd put a dragon in the background or something weird or something, you know. But he would just print it out on canvas for them. That was who that was, right?
Yeah.
Shannon? Yeah, okay. Steel trap.
Steel trap. But not in the creepy way.
Okay. We're actually going to go ahead and darken this one in. There we go. I knew it. Yeah, every other one is. Okay. So we'll detail this out, put in there, and then we'll start in on some of the more colorful parts of the painting, which is just about everything else. And we'll save some of that gray and white and drop in the skull and get his eyeball going. So let's hop back over to the ink. Is that, oh, that's water. And grab our brush. Let's start with these little doohickeys up here. This little detail work is where my eyes are telling me, hey man, get a magnifier or we're just gonna fucking give up. Definitely sharpen these edges around here. They're obviously going to get painted. I may have to touch them again. There's the sugar gnome again. Woo! All right. Add some thickness to these shadows where it gets a little closer to his head. There we go. Let's get a zoom in. There we go. Come get a little closer to the line work. Site. And I do like, I don't use a lot of rulers. I basically did 2 ruled lines in order to, as guidelines for the thickness of the machine gun, but, I do hand paint these in, gives it a more organic feel. But I like doing these little skips here because it allows your imagination to kind of fill in the gaps and gives you a lot cleaner of a line than I actually draw it. I've done that with portraits sometimes too. Like if I do very, very few portraits, but if I am doing one, then a lot of times I'll draw maybe one side of the face and kind of just highlight the other, and especially if it's a famous person that you know what he looks like, your imagination fills in the missing lines. It tends to make him look or her look a lot more like that person than if I were to put in all the lines. Just a little trick. Us artists, us tricksters, visual Lokis. There you go. So here, bring this line down. Filling in that black part. Oh, Sugar's yawning. He was thinking about coffee. I just finished my cup. In my Sean Dietrich logo mug. Woo! There's nothing more arrogant than drinking out of a coffee cup with your name on it.
Maybe a coffee cup with your picture on it.
Oh, yes. That's next. The picture mugs. World's greatest boss.
It's like your own mug.
Yeah, right.
Or are you going to make Dietrich one of those?
There you go. No. I wouldn't feel right about that. Yeah, right. gift my kids world's greatest dad mugs with my picture on it.
You're gonna give that to them for like from Santa Claus.
Well, that'd be awesome. Just so you guys remember.
You should do that when you're like 30.
Oh, that would be awesome. Santa brought you a present. I could see doing stuff like that. Just stupid, weird dad shit just to annoy him. Well, I think too many parents think that like they can't get away with shit like that. It's like, yes, you can.
They think they can?
I don't know, or they feel like if they do that, I don't know, like they feel they might warp the child, and I'm like, well, that's your job. Like, as long as you don't beat them, you know.
I don't give my nieces and nephews anything but harassment.
Yeah. Uncle, harassment's here.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right? Yeah, I don't get parents who are like, oh, my kids are. I mean, sometimes, yeah, they do drive me nuts, but I'm like, well, then just get them back. You know?
Yeah.
Drive them nuts. You know? Go in their room and just when they're sleeping and just be like, ah, you know, wake them up. It's not gonna damage the kid. And I think my blood pressure would go down. All right, all right. And Sugar left that repetitive beat on as he goes to make coffee. Actually, I'm gonna flip this. So I can get a straighter, cleaner cut on this. Am I off camera? Way off camera. Let's zoom back out. Okay. So I'm working up here. Let's see. I'm gonna dab it on the rag. Have as minimal amount of ink as possible. Let's cut these lines in. Cut that. There we go. Beautiful. Nice thick line on the edge of the fun giver. There we go. All right. You can turn it back around that way and zoom back in. Always hit the button the wrong way. Get a couple of lines in there. this must have been what he just orchestrated, because things are switching up. He actually just finished rendering the Welcome to Rockville. I was live painting a Wizard of Oz cutout in the crowd, so it's pretty cool. We got the whole crowd in the background and people coming up talking to me while I'm painting, and so he just finished rendering that. Sorry, I'm going to have to flip this again. And in fact, I'm just going to do these lines off camera. Just imagine what they look like, and they will pop on screen in a minute. Just like I imagined. Boom. Okay. So let's go along this edge. And then this top part. Do the little Morse code lines. Actually, we're going to nickname them. There we go. And sometimes I'll also use that as like I'll, you know, maybe a couple lines there, a couple lines there, you know, use these gaps as where I'll space them out so it's not just all one series of lines, just to break it up a little bit. It's an old technique. I've seen it used in the funnies back in the day. Yeah, this is the stuff that'll really melt your eyes. Like my eyes as I paint them, not your eyes. There we go. What was that movie, The Great Escape? They were the old movie with isn't Steve McQueen in that? But they had the guy who did all the counterfeit money and as a counterfeiter, and he went blind towards the end because he did so much intricate work. I kind of don't want to be that dude. But sometimes my eyes are just like, man, Steve McQueen was a shit. That is one of the pinup girl pieces I have coming up. Is I've never actually done a series of hot rods or cars, and it's my buddy Alan Moorfield, exceptional artist, but he's also a big gearhead. And I said, hey, give me the top 5 cars of all time, and 32 Deuce Coupe and this Mafia Cadillac, and but he wanted me to we're going to do one with the chase scene and Bullet with McQueen, but it's just going to be pinup girls. So one will be leaning out the window with a shotgun, and we'll have both the cars in there. What were those cars? One was a Mustang, one was like a Charger or Challenger or something like that. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I gotta build up my collection of older war movies. I was watching Private Ryan right before this, so I could see this gun in action. But nothing like The Longest Day or Bridge Too Far. Amazing, amazing movies. You got like John Wayne, Robert Mitchum, Sahara with Bogart. Just awesome war movies. All right, now this music's looping. Cool. All right, we got ourselves an MG42. If you like this, if you like the war art, there's a comic book came out back in the day called Charlie's War. Artwork is unreal. Like, I forgot the name of the artist, but man, that is a guy to admire. All the equipment, all the uniforms. I mean, just, you know, I try and look for accuracy in the military stuff as much as I can, and made sure, you know. But just to have to do sequential art and then add all the equipment and detail and then make it all blow up or put it to use while telling a story is just, yeah, Charlie's War. Right. Oh yeah, 10:30. Holy shit, it's early. Maybe not for Texas. We'll just go around this with some lines. Just kind of almost give it like a thickness. Maybe some dirt collected. We can also do that too. Put in little, almost like rust marks or little grit and spit and grime. Cross hatching never hurt anybody. Yeah, I really want to open that line up. Some hash. There we go. Get some hash marks. There we go. If I go silent, I'm asleep. Yeah. I'm Cigar Czar's lullaby. The soothing sounds of Sean painting. He has the phone on his pillow. There we go. All right. We have a machine gun. Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Did you make coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Are you caffeinated? The Roman Emperor, caffeinaceous. That is completely false. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pleased how that came out. Got all the little detail in there. Yeah, I mean the bipod just would have been too much. It would have weighed his head down. And I don't think he needs it. I think it might be kind of cool if he like I don't know, fall asleep. Comes up behind a rock maybe, whoosh, flips down, but for aesthetics, we're gonna maybe we'll just do future variations. There could be one that maybe it's like a little smaller, just like a little mini one. But these are all the things you have to think about when designing mosquito machine gunners. Okay. All right. Zoom back out. Yeah, I got the button right this time. So you can kind of see the picture starting to take shape. We got the gun in, and then I think we're off and running on I'm going to do the brown and the red next, because I think he's going to be brown and red. I think it's going to be red up here, and it's going to fade into some brown or yellow. So, I want to give him a lot of bright kind of rust colors, like almost like he's, one of those birds that's super colorful and shows off to dance to find a mate, but just kind of represents war and anger, leather and blood. We're going to go in with actually a little bit bigger brush. Let's see here. Let's go with this chisel. Little angle brush. It's good for doing bigger areas, but then you can use that little corner there to kind of notch into certain areas, like when I'm up in here. We're going to take a little bit of water and hit that brown. And we're just going to do a light wash first. Yeah. Again, just use the corner. Brush strokes are fine. I try and keep them going in the same direction. Because the way I shade it, I might make it look like leather. So I want it to kind of crinkle around his body. There we go. As far as these little hairs, we're just going to deal with the main part of the body first, and then we'll go and paint those up with a smaller brush, as well as the legs. There we go. So we kind of scrub in the color and then hit the brush lines all the same way. They'll usually blend in anyway because it's so watery. It's kind of like painting your walls. Use that chisel to get in that little area. We may even do a little color stripping on him. Because he gets dirty and grimy too. There we go. Bring some of that darker brown up. Shade from that side. You get that nice color variation as it goes into the yellow. We'll just kind of fade it out because it's going to be red. But we can put some of that kind of dirty brown in there. We'll go in with some more straight brown paint for the shadows. Make sure we get up underneath each segment. Segmented bodies. We'll also go in with a smaller brush and tighten that detail up. And we'll just leave those fuzzed out lines. Thank you. We're Front 242. Hooker Dreamcatcher? That's right. We're not going to have any hooker green in this painting. Moment of silence. No hooker green. I believe that's where that whole conversation started, right? Hooker green. It was a color developed. Each bottle sold went to a hooker charity. No. Wow, wow, wow.
You mean you're doing something over there?
Waka, waka, waka. Yeah. Painting. You like my drawings? Yep. Painting, aka printing money. I want to find like an old Federal Reserve plaque to put on the front door of the studio.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's do a little bit of that color stripping on this guy. Yeah. The spotted mosquito. Oh yeah, there's the magic. And then we'll do some shading over top this and line work in it to build up more layers. Won't look as bleached out. That's me. Let's go to the lunchbox of love and find us some red. We're right on top. All right. We'll do a base red. Maybe we'll put some blacklight reactive paint on this one. Or glow in the dark. No, blacklight reactive. Make a stinger glow. There we go. I keep putting way too much paint on the palette. Like, oh, I just need to put a little color here. Half a tube later. All right. Let's switch to. I guess you're right. Let's go with a smaller flat brush. Start adding a little bit more of the just straight darker brown for shading. Make sure we get up underneath all this metal. Basically dry brush this color. This is the reason I go through so many paint brushes. Just rubbing the color in. Canvas meet brush. Fuck you. There we go. There we go. Oh, it's starting to bring it forward. Thank you, Cleveland. You're in Miami. All right. kind of tap into some darker variations here. I'll put some nice clean white highlights on the very edge, but I definitely want these shadows to kind of look worn. And we'll do a little bit of color stripping on this dark brown as well. Imagine how much this would cost back in the day when they used to charge you hourly for the internet. You had to dial in. I stream on Twitch and have a $30,000 phone bill every month.
And so does everybody else.
Yeah, like outstanding. Those 100-hour AOL discs are like black market gold. Yo, you stream? What you need? So we'll do, as far as the lighting, I think I'm going to have it come from almost behind a little bit on this, so. But we'll do like, if we do that watered down, nice crisp line there, I'll make it look like that leg's cast in a shadow. Let's see here. I'm mixing with my finger. No, that'll work. There we go. So he's got like a tail condom. Use protection. There we go. And we'll go back, grab some water. We'll do a few little splashes, not quite as complex as before. And there we go. Layer upon layer upon layer. Sometimes it's already dry, you just kind of scratch those out. There you go. Got up level to the camera. Let's see. Let's go in with a little brown into that red. We'll drop some shadows. There we go. We'll take that brown and we'll drop his legs in. Just with a little water, brown. And all this line work will be rekindled in the end. There we go. Start up here at this joint. Go. Alrighty. A little lighter of a hue on the legs. And you can actually blend it out and put somewhat of a highlight already on there. But I will go through with some white in the end and highlight everything. There we go. All right. All right, we are into the second hour. Thank you guys for hanging out on this mellow Monday. Is it Monday? It is Monday.
Is it mellow?
Is it mellow? I think it's a mellow Monday. Yeah. Well, yeah, cigars are passed out. He's not swinging from the chandelier like he normally is. But I do remember, like last week, I noticed that there's definitely a late night crowd, and I think because a lot of artists end their stream, or a few of them end their stream before I do, so they go a lurking.
Lurkers?
But my last night, when I finished the whale painting last week, I had a couple of amazing raids and met some new people. That's when I had 25 people watching and I had nothing to paint. I was like, I'm done. Thanks for joining. So we raided the sways.
That's a good way to end the night.
Great way to end the night.
Well, I'm gonna start something from scratch.
Alright, if you're not raiding the sways,
Raiding the sway.
raiding the sways, we're gonna turn that into something. Y'all know how we end an art stream.
Raiding the sway.
Raiding the swaysin'. Cinnamon swaysin' crunch. Yeah, I don't know. That didn't quite work for me either. I just don't like cereal anymore.
You don't like the cereal.
It's always a good day with 2 scoops of raisins, Peter. That was the best Family Guy. Little mini quip thing that they do. That is definitely from scratch. That sounds like the birth of the universe. Like if Disney was animating it. Sugar orchestrates Fantasia 3.
If you don't like minimalism,
Yeah.
you won't like
You know, most sushi restaurants, you gotta like techno, you gotta dress nice. That was awesome. I'm like, you're right. Every sushi restaurant you walk into has like techno blasting.
They got hip music playing.
Why does techno and sushi go together? Yeah. Yeah. And you put all that effort in to be hungry a half hour after you walk out the door.
Oh, it tastes so good.
That's why I would open just a big fast food burger joint right down the street from any sushi restaurant.
Yeah, those do pretty well too.
Because they walk out and they're like, fuck, I'm hungry.
Need to eat somewhere.
Yeah, right. Bum, bum, bum. Uh-oh, he's turning it up louder. I can see the first few apes jumping around the monument, coming out of the sand. Dun, dun. Alright, these legs I will silhouette. Maybe not. Let's actually put some brown on them, and then if need be, we'll blacken them in. Or we'll at least put brown in, blacken them a lot more, and then throw a minimal highlight. A minimal techno highlight. There we go. Just so I can kind of see, color-wise. Okay. This song's called Birth of a Computer in the 80s in an Echoey Hallway. I'm going to name all your songs.
You're going to name this song like 40,000
Birth of Techno at a sushi restaurant. This one's called I'll Have the Modular Roll. Oh, I don't know. Roll. You're at a sushi joint. Okay. I like that. He's all kind of, hold that up a little bit. And we will put these brown hairs in, and then I will go ahead and detail his body. Disco Stew doesn't advertise. Doing a lot of tiny little line work, I know. I haven't zoomed in on. When I go to detail this out, I'll zoom in a little so you guys can see the ink work as well. This guy definitely has a lot more detail work than some of the previous paintings that had larger swaths of color and then a bunch of line work. Uh-oh. There we go. Oh yeah, that skinny hair there. I like it too, so it comes out a little darker, so it pops against the body itself. Sweet. All right, we will do these little antennae. So also, this almost could be an ASMR channel with that music. There we go. A little bit of brown there. We'll fade in a probably a reddish color or yellowish. And give him a smoked cheddar face. A Tillman head. Okay. Alright. I'll drop in these colors, I think, too. What I'm going to need is yeah, I think we're going to go just some oranges, kind of rust color, you know, I don't really want it to be steel. So, we have deep yellow. Got a little bit of red in there. Let's go to the lunchbox of love and pull some oranges out. We got brown. All right. I'm wondering about giving him almost, man, put some patterns in or something. Make it funky, like them. Just keep looking at that Mad Hatter piece that I did last week, and I just love how it pops. But that might not be the right thing for this. But like Cigars are said, I have a mosquito with a machine gun for a face, so pretty sure we can pull off anything. So if that's going to be salmon, though, well, it's only going to interfere with kind of up here, so maybe I'll put some darker colors along these where this actually hits the circle, so it'll contrast nicely. Okay. So on that note, I'll go into some straight, we'll do some dark orange up here. And we'll go just right over these rivets. I'll touch them up with dark brown after I put all the color in. Give it that rusty, just kind of rusty brown feel. So we're just dropping in a few base colors right now. And I'm not looking for thousands of color variations, just gonna layer and contrast as much as possible. And this we just kind of dab it on. So it's, give it a flaky feel. We'll definitely add some shadows up underneath there as well, because it needs to be shadowed. You can do little cuts with the brush. Oh, sugar almost dropped the vase. Alright. Yeah, maybe give him a nice maroon head. Something for his kind of white eye to pop out against. Think about that. go. And then, let's clean our brush. Oh, actually, that looks like a line right there. I think the intention was part of his leg or a separation on the metal. There we go. So let's go just into some straight heavy yellow. It's gonna be a little bright, but we're gonna muck it up a bit. Put a little bit of that in there. Just a weird cream color. There we go. And so that doesn't look like it's shared. I'm actually going to bring this orange out a little bit. And we're going to create this plate right here and make it... Because if I don't do that, with the yellow hitting there, it looks like it just... That should be part of that same color, so... And we'll take care of that when it's during the inking situation. I guess we could do the circle too. I got that salmon color out, so. Oh my God! It's like having the Stranger Things guy behind me. It actually reminds me a lot of John Carpenter. It's kind of that one synth noise. There we go. We're going to take just some of that pure, what the hell you call that? Nude. There we go. Alright. Where are we at here? 2 hours, 20 minutes. Oh. Turn my coffee heater on. This thing is one of the greatest inventions. Coffee mug, always hot. Now what they need is a second button where I take the coffee mug away, I flip it, and then the PBR goes on there. And it keeps it cold. That would be a humdinger of an invention. Sure, it's out there. Damn right. Oof, picking a color here. Let's go. I almost want to yellow ochre. Let's try that. Let's go with the yellow ochre. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like it. I like it a lot. I didn't want like 50 color variations, but I did want enough. There we go. Did you sample some Jiffy Pop? Pause the movie. The popcorn's almost done. And then what we'll do is take this, we'll take whatever one shade darker is, and that's what we'll use for the shading. So for the yellow, we'll just take the yellow ochre and use it for the metal. Maybe put just a little run of it. Maybe give it a thickness, almost as if maybe that is, there we go. And then underneath here, we'll just use the yellow ochre for shading the metal. We'll go ahead and just kind of tap it here. And then we'll go in with like a watered down brown, and that's how we'll drop the shadows in for the legs. Let's go into our straight brown here. In fact, we're gonna outline this a little bit. Give a little bit of an edge. Kind of soften it here. Use that same brown. It's funny, I didn't use any where the orange. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So say I didn't use any where the orange was underneath anything. Except right here. There we go. And then what we'll do is dab that in water with the brown. And we will take it right along the edge here. Give it that thickness. We'll do it all the way around. A little bit of water, a little bit of brown, a little dab. Bring that around like that. There we go. It's starting to get starting to see some various layers, thicknesses of the sheet metal or whatever it's made out of. Steel. There we go. Now let me hold that up level to the camera so you guys can see it at more of a zoom in right there. There we go. You can see the machine gun as well. Hitler's buzzsaw, the MG42. One last sip of coffee. And then we may be switching it up to beer and some water. Okay. So now I'm going to go through with a round brush, and let's drop in the, actually this is, yeah. Let's drop in the rivets. And for those, we just go into straight brown. There we go. What is it, the 25th, 26th of June? Can you believe it's almost July? What a whirlwind of a year. Absolutely nuts. So we're just popping the rivets in here, and then I'll zoom in and start hop back into the ink, and we'll detail out the body of the Mosquito, like we did with the machine gun. And we will get really get this thing cranking. Okay. I think that's it. A little bit of water. Let's get that brush washed. Although let's figure out the color on his head. Could do a red. Because we have the brown, and the colors look so different on my OBS. But on the actually, I'm looking at the live stream right here, and they look a lot more like intentional. I'm just gonna hold that up so I can see it on the live stream. But just wondering if you guys get the same feel for the different colors. It's funny how certain things, like I'll build something in Photoshop, especially if anybody's done anything with a computer, they'll know that. And then you go to print or you go to like put it up on Instagram or whatnot. It's like, holy shit, that's a lot different. Oh yeah, you guys actually see what I see more so than I thought. Yeah, let's go with an orange. Let's go with almost that salmon color. You know what? Let me drop the salmon ring in. The ring of salmon. And then I'll see what, I think that'll help me decide what the, and even though this isn't inked, I'm going to put a little bit of color in here because the circle is going to kind of go through the wing. So it'll give it that transparent look to it. There we go. We'll leave these rivets open for a spell. So this will be the 4th painting in 3 weeks. Done on Twitch. Instagram, okay. Definitely super happy with the productivity. Hope you guys are enjoying not only the painting, but the subject matter. Try and keep it weird for you. Alright. Yeah. Take that orange around. So we'll get it nice and dark underneath the wing here, and then there we go. Whoop. I almost dipped it in the wrong orange. Roll. And this is Sugar in the background here building some music. His Legos of music. He produces all the music for my time lapses. You can check them out on my YouTube channel. I did upload them to my feed. Also over at SeanDietrichArt.com. Sean spelled S-E-A-N, Dietrich spelled Diet, Rich. Pop on over. Check out all the new merch. There we go. Let's see. And all these little things, like, you know, under here we'll put shadows for where the legs cross and cross over the colors. So all that detail work is to come. I haven't forgotten about you. Oh, detail. I haven't forgotten about you. There we go. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we'll definitely put a nice blue in there, some little bit like Vera back here. I like that color combination. It came out really nice on that painting. And the skull will be white, so it'll pop. And then, yeah, I think like an orangish. Maybe yeah, we'll do that same darker orange for his head, and then we'll shade it with blue. And I mean, red. So in fact, we'll go in with a little bit of orange, maybe even a lot of orange.